A line from June is starting to echo around Santa Clara again. Raheem Morris wanted to understand what pushed a young defender to work so relentlessly. That was not just routine praise. It felt like a clue. And when you connect that clue to a blockbuster trade proposal, an almost invisible quarterback competition, and an offensive line cut, the picture starts to change. Some decisions begin taking shape long before they ever become headlines, some smart, one potentially dangerous. Today, we're separating the real signal from the smoke to figure out what actually strengthens a championship run. If you follow every Niners move happening behind the scenes with us, hit like and subscribe to 49ers Express. That comment from Raheem Morris deserves to be heard again, because defensive coordinators usually do not go into that kind of detail about just anybody. Back in June, Morris described Upton Stout as a great listener, a serious note-taker, someone who stays completely locked in and puts enormous pressure on himself to raise the level of the entire room. Then came the most revealing part. Morris still wanted to understand Stout's internal why, but he already loved what that drive brought out of him every day. That feels less like standard offseason praise and much more like a coach recognizing a player who is accelerating his own development. Stout did not arrive in Santa Clara carrying the expectations of a first-round pick. The 49ers selected him in the third round of the 2025 NFL Draft, and he still earned enough trust to play 58% of the team's defensive snaps as a rookie. Working mainly from the slot, he had to learn one of the toughest jobs on defense, reacting to receiver motion, attacking the run, covering in tight spaces, and still threatening the offense as a blitzer. The numbers prove he did far more than simply survive his first season. Stout recorded 82 tackles in 16 games, including 4 starts, along with 4 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 5 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, and 1 sack. He finished third on the team in tackles. For a rookie nickel, that is a real presence. Stout saw the play, attacked it, and arrived with an aggression that never needed an invitation. That combination landed him a spot on Bucky Brooks' defensive all-breakout team for 2026. Brooks highlighted the same versatility that separates an ordinary slot defender from a piece capable of changing play calls, breaking up passes, punching the football out, attacking off the edge, and turning instinct into game-changing production. It does not guarantee a breakout, but it shows the tools have already flashed on the field, and Stout now has the experience needed to bring all of them together. The most fascinating part of this story is happening behind the scenes. Morris does not appear worried about convincing Stout to work. His challenge may be managing the pressure of a player who already expects so much from himself. If the new coordinator can harness that urgency without taking away the young corner's aggressive freedom, San Francisco could gain something truly rare. A nickel who does not simply follow the offense but forces the offense to locate him before the snap. That could change the entire defense. A more confident Stout gives Morris more freedom to disguise pressure, erase quick routes, and buy Nick Bosa and the defensive line a few extra seconds to reach the quarterback. In this situation, one player's leap could become a force multiplier for everybody around him. Stout's name has already appeared in a national projection, but the strongest signal came from inside the building. His coach saw discipline, obsession, and hunger. The only question left is how far those traits can carry Upton Stout once the games begin demanding real answers. If Upton Stout can help create pressure through second-level intelligence, the next conversation comes from a much heavier concern inside the NFC West. The Rams added Myles Garrett. Seattle is coming off a Super Bowl championship powered partly by a relentless pass rush. San Francisco gets Nick Bosa and Michael Williams back from injury, added Osa Odigizua to collapse the pocket from the inside, and selected Romello Height in the draft. Even with those answers in place, any possible move involving a destructive defensive lineman is going to demand attention. That is the environment where Fansided's Winston Wilcox listed the 49ers as a team that could put together a trade package for Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter. The idea has obvious blockbuster appeal, but the real story is not the image of Carter wearing red and gold. It is what San Francisco might have to tear out of its own foundation to make that image become reality. Carter played 640 defensive snaps last season, earned a 60.0 overall grade from PFF, and generated 41 pressures, including 3 sacks, 30 hurries, and 8 quarterback hits. He also recorded 18 solo tackles against the run. His physical talent and ability to collapse the pocket from the middle explain the fascination. Put that explosion next to Osa, drive the center of the protection backward, and Bosa starts reaching quarterbacks who can no longer step comfortably into the pocket. The package imagined by Wilcox carries a price that completely changes the debate. His view is that Philadelphia would need pass rush help in return, which means Michael Williams or even Nick Bosa would have to be included. That is when the door closes, the room goes quiet, and the real calculations begin. Bosa cannot become a trade chip in some desperate attempt to keep pace with the division. He shapes the opposing protection before the football is even snapped. He is the gravitational center of this front, and his presence makes every piece around him better. Trading Bosa to improve the pass rush would be an impossible contradiction to defend. Michael's name creates a different discussion, but it still does not create an easy decision. He played only 9 games as a rookie before tearing his ACL, finishing that campaign with 11 tackles and 1 sack. That limits what he has already proven so far. It does not erase his age, the investment San Francisco made in him, or the development the 49ers may still be able to unlock. This is exactly where pressure from division rivals can fool a front office. Garrett joining the Rams and Seattle's defensive strength demand a response, but they do not demand panic. Carter and Williams are close in age. Giving up the young player San Francisco selected to grow beside Bosa would mean replacing one internal bet with another highly talented piece, while accepting every question involving fit, cost, and continuity. Philadelphia might not even view that framework as attractive without additional value. This proposal is a market exercise, not evidence that the teams are discussing a deal. If the price changed and San Francisco could keep Bosa, Williams, and the rest of its core intact, John Lynch would have an obligation to listen. Carter joining a rotation with Osa could restore the direct path through the middle that this defense wants so badly. That possibility looks much more seductive on a whiteboard than it would be simple to execute at the negotiating table. The message coming from around the division is clear in a different way. The 49ers cannot stand still while their rivals keep adding pressure. They have to evaluate every opportunity with aggression and discipline at the same time. Jalen Carter could electrify Santa Clara. Trading Bosa would mean attacking the foundation of the defense. Giving up on Michael now would mean walking away from an unfinished plan too soon. The right move is not the one that creates the loudest image. It is the one that makes this defense more dangerous in January without mortgaging the identity designed to sustain it for years. While the internet creates blockbuster trades, another potentially valuable decision will be shaped by practice reps, meeting room work, and preseason snaps that most people will barely notice. Brock Purdy is the starter. Mac Jones enters 2026 firmly established as the number 2 after helping the 49ers win 5 of the 8 games he played during Purdy's absence. The real competition is taking place behind them, between Adrian Martinez and Kurtis Rourke, and its impact could reach far beyond the 3rd spot on the depth chart. Rourke carries the kind of history that makes this training camp especially hard to evaluate. San Francisco used a 7th-round pick on him in the 2025 NFL Draft after his time at Indiana. The Canadian quarterback played his final college season through a torn ACL, showing tremendous toughness while also facing the long recovery that came afterward. His first year with the 49ers essentially became a redshirt season. Now, 1 year later, the coaching staff can finally see how his arm, processing, and mobility respond at NFL speed. Mac Jones enters this story without taking a single snap in that competition. His strong run while Purdy was sidelined reinforced the stability of the quarterback room and made it easier to keep him as the immediate backup. That protection carries real value because Purdy has already missed time with injuries. Jones can reach free agency in 2027 though, and a backup who still believes he can compete for a starting job may want to find a more open door somewhere else. If Rourke commands the huddle, processes defenses quickly, and runs the offense without needing everything simplified for him, the front office gains flexibility. The 49ers could enter 2027 feeling much more comfortable about allowing Jones to move on. A truly convincing jump might even make San Francisco more willing to listen to offers for Jones before this season's trade deadline. Not because Rourke would immediately pass the veteran, but because the organization would see a younger, cheaper, and more controllable bridge behind Purdy. The opposite outcome makes the room much tighter. If Rourke looks behind schedule, freezes against pressure, or fails to turn everything he learned during rehab into execution, Jones becomes even more valuable. San Francisco could then consider trying to extend him, knowing the veteran may still prefer to test a market where he has a chance to compete for something bigger. Adrian Martinez remains part of this battle and could win the QB3 job, but Rourke brings the contract control and developmental upside that could have a much greater impact on the future calculation. That is the true story behind this competition. The third quarterback is not fighting only for a chair at the back of the room. He could determine how much leverage John Lynch has in a trade, how much money the team can invest at the position, and how much risk San Francisco is willing to accept behind Purdy. Every Rourke snap in camp will also work as an indirect evaluation of Mac Jones. Faithful, watch for more than touchdowns during the preseason. What does Rourke need to show before you would trust him as Purdy's future backup? Quick processing? Pocket control? Accuracy under pressure? Something else entirely? Drop your scouting report in the comments. Because once this quiet competition ends, the winner's future may only be the beginning of the decision that truly matters. The final move does not need a siren. It needs a magnifying glass. The 49ers waived Zachary Thomas after signing him to a reserve/future contract on January 21st. For anyone tracking only the biggest names, this may look like an administrative transaction with no real consequence. Inside a roster moving toward training camp, however, every open spot tells us something about how the coaching staff plans to distribute reps and which experiments are no longer considered a priority. Thomas was selected by the Bears in the 6th round of the 2022 NFL Draft and also spent time with the Rams, Patriots, Colts, and the Texans practice squad, which released him on December 30th. His NFL offensive experience was concentrated in 2023. He appeared in 32 snaps for the Rams and logged 96 for the Patriots, with most of those coming in 2 games. He has not played an official snap since then. There was also some uncertainty in how San Francisco viewed him. Thomas wore number 61 and was listed as a guard on the depth chart, even though he was also identified as an offensive tackle. That versatility could have helped him, but only if the staff saw a legitimate path to camp reps. His release suggests that path had become too narrow, or that the 49ers believe they may have a chance to bring him back to the practice squad later if he remains available. Both interpretations fit the move. Neither requires turning a basic roster management decision into anything bigger than it actually is. The offensive line room is already packed. Trent Williams, Connor Colby, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, and Colton McKivitz form the projected foundation. Robert Jones, Vidarian Lowe, Brett Toth, Carver Willis, and Enrique Cruz Jr. complete the group of 10 players currently projected to make the roster. Behind them, Nick Zakelj, Dre Nugent, and Austin Pleasance enter camp needing to overturn the current outlook. San Francisco is not even guaranteed to keep 10 offensive linemen when final cuts arrive. Thomas leaving now says much more about opportunity than failure. Offensive line reps are limited. Chemistry requires continuity. The coaches need to focus their work on players with a clearer chance to protect Purdy or provide valuable game day versatility. Keeping another body around simply to fill out the line would not help anybody. The attention now turns to the players who are still here. Willis and Cruz have to prove their favorable projections deserve to become roster spots. Zakelj, Nugent, and Pleasance need to make the decision uncomfortable. That is the message a training camp cut can deliver without a press conference. The map has become smaller, but the edge of this roster remains wide open. This is how a championship season begins to take shape. Not only through the signings that explode across social media, but through the habits a coordinator notices, the prices a front office refuses to pay, the almost anonymous practice reps, and the roster spots that change hands before the pads even come on. Santa Clara is entering the stage where every detail has consequences. The faithful's job is to watch without confusing noise for progress. The 49ers need to leave camp deeper, more flexible, and harder to play against. Share this video with someone who follows the entire board, and make 49 ERS Express part of your daily routine. Around here, the details behind the scenes never go unnoticed.